Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Okay, all right. Let's continue. I think I lost connection there. Okay, so if you can see my screen, drop a thumbs up so that I know that you can see my screen, and also that the font size is okay. Please drop a thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, for those who are joining us, let me see, we are still 19. For those who are joining us, if you have anything to say at any point, use the question and answer topic and I will attend to it. All right. So back to where we stopped. I have my HTML file. This is my first file. And the HTML has a head and also has a body. Now I want to preview this with my browser. So what I will do is to open up this with live server. You can open it up with live server here. And this will open it up on my browser. So looking at this now, I'll close this and then bring this here. A little, I want to see that is this class for the new entrant or was it time? Easy, I'm trying to understand what you mean. Can you explain more? Eze, are you there? Please use the mic. Explain to us, what do you mean?
Can you hear me? Good afternoon,
Yes,
everybody.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, sir, please, I just want to clarify if this is a class for the new people that have just joined the track, or to like catch them up, or if the time for today's class was rescheduled, because they said our classes for Saturdays was from 5 and then Sundays from 6. So I don't know how to be clear if I'm missing the time.
No, the classes from on Saturdays at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Everybody, so long as you are back.
Okay, so
On Sundays is 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. for everybody, so long as you are doing back end. Now, at this point, we
okay,
don't
so
have yeah, you can mute. At this point, we don't have there's no difference between new students and old students here, because I want to believe that everybody would have watched the recording of last week's class. Now, even if you don't watch the class, it is just HTML, and HTML is very simple. You don't even need a class to understand HTML. There are so many videos. Now, we already have materials on Google Classroom that will walk you through everything on HTML. We also have a documentation, which the link is posted on Google Classroom, that will walk you through HTML. And on Telegram, I'm very sure I reposted that video of our last week class, which will also walk you through the basics of HTML. So at this point, there is no new entrance. Everybody is new at this point. Everybody here is new at this point. So the only difference is those who will be attending class and those who will not be attending classes. So, but this is what I would say. HTML is very simple. After HTML, we're going to CSS. CSS is also very simple. And you can miss your HTML classes and still follow up. You can miss a CSS class and still follow up. But by the time we come to JavaScript, where we've entered logic building, if you miss classes, it will be very difficult to follow up. Please. All right, that being said, let's continue. So what I would, somebody was asking for those who don't have live server yet. Now, if you don't have a live server, you can still run your codes. I want to believe you know what live server is doing or what it will do. So my project is inside here, now HTML2, and this is my HTML file. If I click on it, it will still open the document. The only difference here is that if I open it here from the folder, any new changes I make, I need to be refreshing my browser so that I can see those changes. That's the difference. Now, but if I open it up with live server, which is this one is live server. If I open it up with live server, anytime I make a change and save it, automatically live server will refresh it for me. Anytime I make a new change and save it, live server will refresh it for me. So that's the difference between opening it up manually and opening it up with live server. So that being said, I think we're done with that. Now, assuming you've all submitted your assignment, I would have started with correction or maybe explanation from the assignment, but I can't work on anything on the assignment today because that will be me explaining the assignment again. So I will skip that. The next thing I want to talk about is HTML forms. As a back-end developer, HTML form is very, 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 very important to you. It's very, very important to you. So that way, you should know what a form is, and you should know what a front-end developer will do with a form. Now, for those who are just joining us and don't know why we are learning HTML instead of going straight to backend, the reason why we are learning HTML is, as a backend developer, you need to think like a front-end developer. Because when you build your endpoint, build your structure, build your database, everything, you are going to be sending a link and a documentation to the front-end developer. The front-end developer will not see your codes. The front-end developer will not see your server. They will not see your database. They will not see anything. And you will not be there to explain to them what they will do. So you need to know what they will do so that when you are building your backend, when you are building the software, you know what they will do and you know how to build it, so that when you send them a link and send them a documentation on their own, they can understand it without having to call you up every time in a meeting. So that is why we are starting with HTML, which is actually on the front end. So we're not doing backend yet. We are doing front end, and which is why I'm going to be a little bit fast with this front end part, because this is not our domain. We're just learning the basics of a website or the basics of a software. So like I said, we are going to talk about forms. Now, this is a comment, and I get this with Control / or Command / HTML forms. HTML forms is very, very important to a backend developer. So which is why I'm teaching you forms now. Now, for forms, if you want the user to add data, I know all of us, we have all tried using any software to sign in, to sign up, to submit registration forms. All of those things are forms. The login form, the sign up form, forgot password form, reset password form. So as a backend developer, a form is very, very important to you. That is one way that users get to communicate with your backend. A lot of softwares can be good they will look fine. But if the user cannot log in, that software is not working as far as that user is concerned. If you like, design it to be very, very beautiful. If a user cannot log in, imagine if today you hear that you can't log into your Facebook account. You know what will happen. Now, Facebook is there. You are opening the app. You can open the app. You can see the logo. You can see everything. You can even type in your phone number and password, yet you can't log in. There is an issue there. I'm very sure that a lot of us will not be happy with that. So as a backend developer, that is one of your responsibility, handling login for users. We're going to build that, but let's just see the basics of form. So what I will do is I will just my first form, and I'll give it a title called registration form. And I'll save this. So this is called registration form. If I go to my browser, I should see registration form here. And this is very big because I use H1. I can choose any other one to use, like H3, and save it. Now it will be smaller. My fonts are not too small. Which of the fonts? Do you mean my VS Code? If it goes bigger than this, even me myself, I don't think I can actually see it to code very well. So what I'll do is I will increase the screen size, and let me know if this is too small. Is this font, is it too small? Is this font too small? All right. All right, let's continue. So like I said, now I'm giving my form a title first before I start creating the form. So the form is called registration form. You can call it anything. It can be a login form. It can be a sign up form. It can be a contact us form. It can be a school form. Any form at all, anyone that you want. So now, since it's a form, you need the form tag. This is a form tag. Now, this form tag has an action which you are not interested in. So you will remove it. Now I have a title and the form tag. And I will say this again, all your codes must be within the body tags. That's all I'll say. So the first thing I want to accept from the user is their first name. I want to accept the user's first name. So I will create an input here. This is an input type of text, and you can't see it very well here, but it is here. So I think with this browser, you know what I can do is I'll copy this, command copy. I think with this my Safari browser, you can't see that very well. So let me try this. Yeah, I will try with this browser. So here you can see my input, and is a type. Oh my God, I have issues. Do I have issues with internet? All right. So I want the users to be able to type something. That is why I'm creating an input here. And the type of input is a type of text, meaning that the users are allowed to type in text inside here. That is what text means. So they can type in text inside the input. So when you see an input and you see a type, this will tell you what the users can type in there. If I remove this text and put something like numbers, now this means that even if the user tries to type in text, which I'm trying here, it's not working until you type in numbers. Only numbers. Like that. Now, but for when it's the type is a type of text, if it's a type of text, I can type in text and numbers. Yeah, if it's a type of text, I can type in text and numbers. But if I explicitly say numbers, it means that it will only carry numbers for this input. So I'll remove this and I'll call it text and save that. Now, if you are the one building this form, there is every tendency that your users will not know what you're asking them to type in here. They will not know what it is you want them to type in there. So the second thing you can do is add a placeholder. A placeholder is like a text that will be there for the meantime. Once the user starts typing, that text will disappear. For example, enter name and save it. So now I have an input with a type of text and the placeholder says enter name. Now you can call your placeholder anything. You can call it anything. It must not be exactly what I call mine, but call it something that users will understand. Enter your first name, enter your last name, enter your full name, enter your middle name, whatever you want them to type in there. That is what you put there. So this input, now you can type anything. While I'm typing, you see that the placeholder disappears. This is one way of telling the user what to type in here. Another way is, now imagine I'm a user, I type the first 3 letters and I get a call. Once I got a call, you know that my attention has been divided or maybe diverted. So if I come back to your form, looking at these 3-letter words, I will not know what I was expected to type in there. So I will need to cancel it so that I will see it. So to save users that stress, you can add another thing called the label. Label. Now this label has 4. For now, you can remove this 4. The label, and inside there, you write enter name and save it. So users will see that here it says enter name, and here it also says enter name. So if you start typing and you get distracted, by the time you come back to the form, you still know what you are expected to type in. That is how you use a label and a placeholder. Now, you are not a front-end developer. I would have said, depending on the design, you will know when to use a label and when to use a placeholder. Currently, that is none of your business. Your business here is to understand what a form is, so that when you are building a backend for this particular form, you know what the developer will do, like that. So I will skip that and move to the next input. This is an input, and this input is a type of email. Now, by default, you already know what the user is expected to type in here, their email. Please do not drop a question any other place. I may not see it. Please, just the question and answer topic. All right, that being said, now you can add a placeholder here if you want, and I'll say enter email and save it. So here it's enter email. Now, if you want to add a label, you can go ahead and add a label. There is no limit to the number of labels you can add. So that is for that. The next thing I want to do is add an input. And after your email, maybe I want, what do I want again? I'm just thinking of what I will ask the users to type in. Date of birth. So this is a type of date. Is a type of date. And looking at it, you know that this has a form or maybe a calendar. If you click here, it drops a calendar that the user can pick the date. The user can also manually type in the date they want, like this, or click on the calendar and it will drop a date. You can move forward to any month that they want, maybe backward, forward, however they want, and they select a date. Now for this one, maybe you can add a span tag here and call it date of date of birth, and save it. You have date of birth there. Now if you look at these things, they are closely stacked together. I want to break them so that each input will be on a different line. I want to break them so that each input will be on a different line. To do that, I can use the break tag BR. BR is for the break tag. So if I put BR there and save it, you see this one now is on a new line. I can come in here, somewhere here, and put another break tag. Now that form is another line. Now this break tag is not enough. I want to space them with break tag. I'll put another break tag here. Now I have a space there. I'll put another break tag here. I have a space there. So each of these inputs now are on a different line. Now if you want to use break tag, fine, go ahead to use break tag. Of course you want to. If you don't want to use break tag, is also fine. With CSS, I will show you how to do it without a break tag. So that's for input. Now we have name, which is a type of text. We have email, which is a type of email. We can have phone numbers, input, and call it a type of tel. So this is an input type of tel. It accepts telephone number. And you can break it also if you want. Like I said, I'm just showing you how to do that. So I will put BR here to break this, another BR to give space. So I have that you can add a placeholder. I want to believe by now you know what a placeholder is. Phone number, and save it. That's for phone number. The next thing I want to do, what else would I want to do? What else will I want the user to do? Now I might want the users to upload their document. Maybe upload a document, upload your passport, upload your CV, upload anything. It can be image, it can be Excel, it can be document, Word document, anything you want them to upload. So I will create another input, but the type of this input is going to be called file, and save it. So let me break this one so that it will be clearer and readable. So here the user gets to click on it and choose any file. So if I click here, it will prompt me to choose a file, and I'm going to choose, which file will I choose? Which file will I choose? Which file will I choose? I'm looking for an image. I'll click on this one and then open it up. So I have selected an image, and this is the name of my file here. So I can click on it again and select another file, this one, and open it up. So I've chosen a file, and here is the name of that file. So if you want the users to upload anything, you use an input type of file. That's for that. I can show you. Let's check these input types. You don't need to cram them. They are all there on W3 school. So I'll go to form, form input types, reference, W3 schools. Hit enter. So HTML forms, I'm looking for the reference. I don't find it. Let me check this one. Not that one. Okay, let me check if it's here. So these are the input types that you might want to use. You don't have to cram it. I'm looking for, you know what, let me share this with you. I'll copy this, Ctrl V, and save it. Did I send that? Yeah, I sent that. The difference between a label and a span tag. Now, you may not really understand what a span tag is until we come to our next class, but a label is just the same. We know what a label is, like putting a name, a tag on something. A label, you're just labeling something. This is what this is. That is what the label is. That's the label tag. Now, a span tag is unique in the sense that it is an inline tag. You will not understand. You will not understand what an inline tag is right now until we come to the next class. But hopefully we'll get there and I will explain that to you. But for a label is just a label. Sorry, that didn't come out very well. A label is a tag you can use to describe this input, any input. You're just labeling it that this. Can a label be used outside of a form? No, I doubt. I don't know if you do that, but I don't know why you want to do that. You only use a label in a form to label what inputs are for. That is if you are not using a placeholder. You can use both of them if you want. It's all good. So let's continue. Back to my file. Now the next thing is I may want to give users the opportunity to choose gender. So if I want them to choose gender, I will create an input and say the input is a type of checkbox. And here I will say male, and then duplicate it. Here I will write female and save that. Sorry. Okay, I have it here. I think that's because I expanded this browser. So let me do this smaller. And also let me break this BR and save that. So here you can give users opportunity to choose between two options. It's not only gender. It can also be used for exams like JAMB exams. I'm going to explain that exam thing later very well, but whenever you want people to pick options, pick anything, you can either use this checkbox. There's another type of it called the radio. So meaning that you change the checkbox to radio, a normal radio, and it's going to be called male and female. It is not just for male and female. I'm using this as an example. So you can use it for any options you want the users to pick. So let me break this one also. BR here. So the difference between the checkbox and the radio is this. Am I recording this class? God, please help me. Yes, it's being recorded. So the difference between a radio and a checkbox is this. The first difference is the physical difference. One is squared, one is round, a circle. That's the first difference. The second difference is this. For a checkbox, I can check and I can change my mind. So if I join, I can change my mind. I can say, okay, I don't want that one. Now for a radio, once you join, you cannot change your mind. You see, I'm clicking it, it doesn't change your mind. It's like a court. If you join, you have joined. There's no going back. So that's what a radio does for you. Once you check it, you cannot uncheck it. So as a developer, there might be times where you want to give the users privilege to change their mind. There might be times where you don't want them to change their mind. It's up to you. So the two of them do almost the same thing, but they are not the same thing. That's for a radio and a checkbox. So we'll proceed. Now, I will need to break this. I want to believe that by now you are familiar with the break and you know what it does. How can I make the radio button to be active for only one option? Yes, you can do that when you get to JavaScript. We might get that part, but like I said, it is not really your job, except you are looking forward to be a front-end developer. Now, if you're looking forward to be a front-end developer, that will be a challenge that you need to solve. And if you also want to be a front-end developer, I don't think you will be in this our class. You're not supposed to be in this our class, even though we are learning front-end. Our major domain is not on the front-end. You just need to understand the front end and also do the assignment like that. So the next thing is, if I want users to select from an option, so this is the select tag. It comes with two attributes, the ID and the name. For now, we don't need it. I can remove that. So this is an option, select. There is nothing inside there to select yet. So there is nothing in there to select. Now what I can do is to add options for users to select from. So the first option here, I'll put an option. Front end and back end. Which one is harder in terms of responsibility? Now, I can't categorically say this one is harder, this one is easier. No. Now, I'm a developer. I'm just using myself as an example. I'm a developer. I can code all day. I can code all night. But if you ask me coding and cooking, which one is difficult? I will tell you that cooking is more difficult. Cooking is very, very difficult. Like, if I cook now, I might take 3 hours to cook and I'll use 4 hours to sleep and rest because it's difficult. So when you come to front end and back end, I can't really say which one is back end, depending on your personality. I've explained before, if you are somebody that likes arrangement, you like everywhere being arranged, being beautiful, you are good with colors and combination, you are that organized, that means your domain is on the front end. If somebody comes and tell you, oh, arranging is very difficult, you know that the person is telling you a lie, because if you love to arrange, you know that arranging will be easier for you. There are people who ironing clothes are very easy for them. There are others who ironing clothes are more difficult to them. There are people who washing the dishes are difficult. There are persons who love washing dishes. And when it comes to back end, if you are somebody that likes taking responsibility, taking charge, because the back end depends on somebody who can be decisive. Something is going on, you want to do it and do it like this. People are complaining, you are ready to work under pressure so that whatever challenge they are facing is resolved. It doesn't matter if they are calling you a goat or animal or whatever they are calling you, you can still maintain composure. You will not shake. And also, you know, for front end, when it comes to front end, a front end developer can build a website and hand over, but a backend developer doesn't hand over. A backend developer will stick with that project till the end, which is why most developers who work as backend may end up working as backend in one company till the end of their life. Imagine if you are working with Facebook as a backend developer, you'll be with Facebook till the end of your life. The reason is being nobody wants to go to the backend. Imagine if you're an electrician. How many of us will actually climb the ceiling to go and fix what an electrician has fixed? And also, you know that if an electrician is good and is fixing your electrical works, you will stick to that particular electrician. You don't want another electrician to come and do something wrong. That is how it applies to the back end. If your software is working fine, you don't want to get any random person to come and change whatever is working well. And also, some backend developers don't like it too, because you need to study what the person has done and then do a new thing. So I can't really tell you which one is harder, which one is easier, because none is easier, depending on your personality. There are people who will say thinking is very difficult. Now, if to think is difficult for you, please, that means backend is not for you. There are people who say pressure is very hard. Oh, I'm getting a call by 2 a.m. I'm getting a call by 3 a.m. I don't want to be doing this. Backend is not for you. There are persons who will say, I've been having this error. I've been trying to figure this thing out for 1 week. I've not been able to figure it out. Backend is not for you. Backend are for those persons who can take responsibility, whether under pressure or no pressure. That's people who backend are meant for. And you have to be very decisive too, because imagine if you are using an app like an OPay app and people are saving money on it. The day they are supposed to make withdrawals, you start hearing that, oh, I can't log into my app. Oh, my withdrawal is not going to my account. You know what is wrong. That's the role backend developers play, which is very, very important. So at that point, people will start calling out the manager, calling out the director. The manager will be calling out the project managers, the technical people in charge, and they will in turn be lashing out on the backend developer, because they cannot go to the code and change it themselves. It is still you, the backend developer, that will go there and change it and check out what is going on. So the people who sit in the offices and all of that may not enter the codes, the backend. So it depends on who you are. That's all I would say there. But stick with us. Don't be afraid. Backend is very easy. It becomes difficult when you do not attend classes, especially my class. But if you attend my classes, everything we do here is going to be simple. But if you start missing classes or turning up late, then that is where it becomes difficult for you. All right. So like I said, I can add options here. The first option, I will call it Nigeria. I'll duplicate this and change this to Ghana. Sorry, I'm just putting a list of countries. This, I will call it South Africa. And what do I call this? Togo. Togo and save. Now, these are a list of countries that users get to pick from. So this list is coming from here. Now I can change this and have the first option. The first option is going to be select countries, so that will tell them what to select. Select a country or select countries, anyone. Save it. So when you open up this form, you will see select country and you click on it to select the country you want. The shortcut is copy and paste, but if you are using a Windows, I think it's Shift Alt arrow key down, 3 keys. You need the Shift, you need the Alt, and the arrow key down, depending on the direction. If you are duplicating upwards, it will be arrow key up. If you are duplicating downward, it will be arrow key down. But Rema, at this point, you shouldn't be interested in shortcut. You're not interested in shortcut. This is what I will tell you while you are learning your codes. Avoid shortcut, avoid copy and paste. Use Emmet. Now, if you know very well that you can never be confused, then go ahead and use copy and paste, do shortcut. You know it, then you are free to do copy and paste and shortcut. But while you are learning and you know that there's every tendency to get confused, please avoid copy and paste, avoid shortcut. We are not joking at the back end. Now you can copy and paste any other place. At the back end is a serious business. You need to know it and know it very well. That's what goes on the back end. So I'll save this, and with that, I think I have come to the end of the form. Now, this is not all the elements or all the input tags. There are so many other input tags which you might want to use, like the URL, the time, the submit, the search, the reset. Now, for this range, the range, I don't think I have. You can use range. I think I've used range once. I will put an input here. Let me break this first. BR. So an input, and it will be a type of range, and save it. So this is range. You can increase it and decrease it. This is what we call range. You can do that. Now, there are so many input types here. You can check them out. They are all here, and I've shared this link to you. There are other places you can find other ones. Yeah, for the password. Now, this password is very, very important. Password. So, if you are in a case where you want users to type in password or BVN or any secret data, you use this input type. The input type of password. Now that will allow users to type in something and it will be hidden. People will not see what they are typing. Now, although they can actually click here to see what they are typing, but it gives them that option and control over it if they want to see it or if they don't want people to see. So here you can put a placeholder. The placeholder can be enter password, enter BVN, anything. BVN, password, whatever it is. So while they are typing, people will not see what they are typing. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the end. Now, when you are done with your form, there should be a submit button. A button to submit the form. Submit form and save it. So I'll break this so that it'll be on a different line. Break. Save. So here you have a form and it's broken. A submit tag. Now, if you want to use an input tag, sorry, you can't see my screen. Are you serious? You all can't see my screen. What is the code? Sorry, let me stop sharing and share again. I don't know why she can't see my screen. So let me share again. I'll share the screen now. All right, I want to believe you can see it now. So it says, what is the code for that red star indication showing that the space must not be left? Space must not be left. Stanley, I don't know what you mean by the space must not be left. So, but I think I understand what you mean, that at the part where it's compulsory to fill out every input. I think that is how. Wisdom, confirm password and password are the same thing. They are the same thing. So, Bisola, when you start typing, that is when the icon appears. Now, after you finish typing, the icon disappears. You will not see the icon again. So you get to see the icon once. the first time you are typing. So when you are done typing and you click outside, you will not see that icon again. So that's how the icon works. So, like I said, you can choose to use a button to submit this form, or you use an input type of submit to submit it. They are the same thing, but the only difference here is, let me change this to an input type. Input, and it's a type of submit. And I'll put a key here. You know what? I'll say this first. So if you use an input type of submit, you should have. What do you mean you can't see my screen? You still can't see my screen right now? Okay, I'll stop sharing and share again. Please let me know when you can see my screen. Let me know when you can see my screen. Let me know when you can see my screen. I'm waiting for you. Tell me when you can see my screen. Are you serious? You all can't still see my screen? I'll stop sharing again. Let me share now. This is my screen. Selected. Share screen. Let me know when you can see it. All right, let's continue. I want to believe. Okay, let's continue. So that is for forms. If you have any question on forms, please ask me now. If you have any question on forms, please ask me now, or drop a thumbs up so that we continue. If you have any question on forms, please ask now or drop a thumbs up so that we continue. All right, let's continue then. We're not more than 21. I just hope that by the end of the class, I will not have people coming to ask me questions in my inbox about something when finished doing today. Now, wisdom, the form action depends on what you want to do with the form. Most times it's how to submit the form. But right now, we're not using that to submit the form. So that's what form action is for. So the next thing I want to talk about is how to navigate from one page to another page. Since we've been working on one particular HTML file, so I want to have it in a way that we can move from the home page to about page. from about page to contact page, from contact page to services page. So how to navigate from one page to another. Adamu, please go ahead and ask your question. Go ahead. Wisdom, there are, as a backend developer, of course, there are APIs that already has a list of all the countries. You don't have to type it yourself. But if I do that, it's going to confuse you, which is why I was typing it out myself, one after another. But as we go further, we'll begin to advance in class. It's not everything I will type. You just see everything that is there. So there's an API that gets you a list of all the countries. You don't have to type all of them. Okay, Adamu, go ahead. Unmute yourself. Go ahead. We're listening. Abdulaziz, please go ahead. We are listening to you. Can you hear me, Abdulaziz? Is he on this call? All right, he's not on the call. Abdulaziz, please unmute yourself and go ahead. We can.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sir, please, I have a question it's concerning the place that we tell the person to upload the file.
Okay.
So maybe if we have an input for the person to upload a passport, maybe if we want to put a specification of passport and the person is not putting that specific specification, so how do we do that?
Okay. The first thing is allowing the user upload something. Now, you can choose what they upload. If you want just an image, I think it's where is it? Here. So you add a keyword called accept. So if you want them to upload only JPEG, then you put JPEG. If you want them to upload JPEG /PNG, you put that there. If you want them to upload only PDF, is it here? Yeah. So depending on what you want to accept, but that's on a different level. You can use the accept keyword to choose what you want to accept. If you want all images, anything image, go ahead and accept that. So, but there's another way to do it using JavaScript. Depending on what they upload, if you want an Excel sheet, if you want a particular size, maybe 10 MB, 20 MB, 30 MB, whatever size you want, you can also do that, but with JavaScript. So this is just the basic form for now. Every other thing, you can do it with JavaScript. And we are coming to JavaScript. So that being said, let's move on to creating more than one file. So what I would do is this one, I will rename it. Maybe I will leave it as index. So this is my index. Index means the first one. Index means the first. So this index will be my home page. I will create another one, call it about. So this is going to be my about page, and I will bootstrap it. Inside here, I will just add h1. This h1 will be called about page. I'll save that, and then I will create a second one and call it contact. Contact is going to be the contact us page. So Michael, to bootstrap, it just means to start the HTML. You use exclamation mark. Exclamation mark, instead of typing it out yourself, you allow Emmet to suggest for you and type it out. So here I just added exclamation mark. If I hit enter or tab, it will select this one and then bootstrap it for me. So here now, I'm going to add h1 and call it contact us page and save that. So I have 3 pages: the about, the home, and the contact page. Now this home contains our form. I'll close that. So what I want to do is so that I can be able to move from one page to another page. That is what we want to do. One page to another page. Hello, Smith. What is going on? Smith, you can't hear me or you can't see my screen. Which one? So that being said, I'm going to create a nav with a list. For now, they are all in the same folder called the HTML2. There is no other folder here. They are, Michael, for now, Cynthia rather, for now, they are all in the same folder. Now, but later on, I'm going to teach you how it should be done properly in a real life project. We'll come to that. But for now, they are in the same folder. They are not in any separate or different folder. So what I want to do is to create the nav. I'll create the navigation here. The first thing I want to do is create the nav. In the nav, I want to create a list. Now, this list is a UL list, which is unordered list. The first list item here, which is li, is going to be the home. That's the first list item. The second list item is going to be the about. Maybe call it about us. The third list item is going to be the contact. The contact us. Save it. So if you come here, you're seeing home, you see about, you see contact, but they are not clickable for now. They're not going anywhere. In order to make them move from one place to another, I need a tag called the anchor tag. And that anchor tag is written as a tag. So this a tag is called an anchor tag. So this anchor tag has an attribute called the href. And in between here, I can write go to. So this href points to the location where you want the user to go to. So if I save this, you see that I have my go to here. Let me comment out the form so that it'll be easy to read and understand. So I have my go to here, but it's not going anywhere. So since it's not going, the reason why it's not going anywhere is because this href is not pointing to anywhere. Now I can decide to point the users to Google by typing https://www.google.com, and then I will change this text to go to Google and save it. So the text here says go to Google, and if I click on it, it will take me to Google website. If I click back, then I am back to my website. So this is what an anchor tag does. It has a text that the users will see, what they will read. Then it has an attribute called href that will be pointing the users to the location where you want them to go to. That is how you use an anchor tag. Now, the first thing I want to do is use this contact us. So I will remove the contact us here and put an anchor tag inside there. Now I have an anchor tag inside the list. This is an anchor tag inside the list. What I want to do is put the contact us here, and then where I want to point the users to is /contact us file. Save it. So inside the list, this is the list, I have an anchor tag here. Now this anchor tag has a title that says contact us, and it is pointing the users to this file called the contact.html, meaning that when you click on contact us, it will take the users and it will open up this file called contact.us.html. So if you look at it, you see that this one has changed color. Every other one is still black, but this one has changed to blue. And if I hover over it, you see this hand pointing on it. That's called the pointer. The pointer is now pointing on it. If I take it up, it changes. It's not the same with these ones. So that is because of the anchor tag. If I click on it, it brings me to the contact us page. Like that. So I will click back. Now I have the home page. If I click on it, it takes me to the contact us page. If I go back, now I am back here. So I want to do the same thing for the about us. I will remove this about us and add an anchor tag. So inside the list, I have an anchor tag. The anchor tag is going to say about us, and it will be pointing the users to this about us HTML. So I'll save it. Now you see this one is blue, and if I click on it, it takes me to the about us page. Now I have a different page opened up. If I go back, I am here. So I will do the same thing for when you click on home. So I will put an anchor tag here. And inside it, I will write home. And it will be pointing the users to this index.html file. So with this, I have created a navigation for my website to move from the home page to about page. So if I click on about, it takes me to about. Now, on the about page, I'm not seeing how to go back unless I click here. So what I would do is I will copy this nav and paste it inside the about page. Also, I will paste it in the contact us page. So that way, when I click on about, I'm on the about page and I still see this. If I click on contact, I'm on the contact page and I still see this. If I click on home, now I am on the home page. If I comment out the form so that we get to see the form, this is my form. So I have my form. My form is here. I can go to about us page. I can go to contact page and I can come back to the home page. So this is how we navigate from one page to another page using the nav like this. Any question? Any question? Ask your question. Any question? Ask your question. No question? Please drop a thumbs up so that we can continue. Rema, are you with us or are you against us? Wisdom, do you have a question, please? Or do you need the mic? Wisdom, go ahead. Ask your question. It is your choice, Wisdom. Anywhere you want to add navigation, just copy the navigation and paste it wherever you want to use it, provided it is still within the body tag. So now I have a navigation at the bottom of the page. I also have it at the top of the page. Now it's your choice. If I click here, it still goes. If I come back to the home page and click on contact, it still goes. Now it doesn't matter where you put the navigation, provided it's still within the body tag. Stanley, you can have the nav tag at the footer. You can also have it at the header. The footer and the header are the same thing. It's more like saying at the top of the website and at the bottom of the website. They are the same thing. Wherever you want to add the navigation depends on you, on what you are coding. That's where you add the navigation. So, in the absence of any question, drop a thumbs up so that we continue. In the absence of any question, drop a thumbs up so that we continue. You know what? I need to be calling people by name so that I can hear them. All right. All right. Now, we are done with HTML. Not like we are completely done with everything HTML. No. We still have other things that we can do with HTML. But at this point, we need to introduce CSS to the HTML. So we are moving on to CSS. Now, how do we code CSS? What is CSS. Why do we need CSS? So what I will do is I will close these pages and work with the about page only. I will use the about page to demo what we are working on. So I have this. Stanley, can you see them? Hello, Stanley, do you mean this? All right. So the first thing you need to do is to create a nav, open the nav tag. Inside the nav, you put your UL tag. Inside the UL, you start adding your lists. You start listing all the pages you have. You list all of them. And when you are done listing, inside each list, you need to add an anchor tag so that you can point the users to different pages. That's how to create a navigation. Now, your pages can be more than 3. I have just 3 here. You can have so many pages. There is no limit to the number of pages that can be on the website. You can have so many pages. Also, it does not mean that all the pages must be listed on the same nav tag. You can have so many nav tags, one at the head, one at the bottom, one in the middle, one by the left, one by the right. Is your website. You are the one working on it. Smith, the videos cannot be dropped immediately, which is why it's important that whenever we're already in class, you try to follow up class. The videos will always drop, but not immediately. You get to see the videos after the week session. After Sunday and Saturday's class, that's when you see the video. No, it is not. It's because I am moving it like this. Telling they are not the same thing. So my nav is like this. It's because I moved it to this edge. That is why you're not seeing it. If you remove this tag, it affects the whole thing. It is no longer a nav tag. If you remove that, it affects everything. It's no longer a nav tag. So let's move to CSS. So I have this. The first thing I want to do is to put H1 and I will say welcome to CSS and save it. If I come to the about page, I have welcome CSS. When it comes to building a website, I told you before, building a website is like building a house. Your HTML is the structure, the bricks. You make sure that you get the structure correctly before anything else. So when you get the structure, you can then beautify the house however you want. So CSS is for beauty, to beautify the website, make it look good, make it look nice, fine, and however you want. So that being said, that the meaning of CSS is cascading style sheet. Cascading style sheet. Now, the meaning will not do you any good if you don't know how to write CSS. So please pay attention so that we get to write CSS together. So if you are good to go, please drop a thumbs up so that I know that you are still with me and we can continue. Please drop a thumbs up if you're still with me so that we can continue. Please drop a thumbs up so that I know that you are still with me. Right, thank you. Right. So there are different ways of writing CSS. There are three different ways. The first way is the inline CSS. That's the first way. The second way is the internal CSS. And the third way of writing CSS is the external CSS. So these are the three different ways to write CSS. Inline CSS. Inline CSS is the type of CSS you write in the same line as the tag, in the same line as the tag, meaning that I'll separate these things so that I'll give spaces so that you see it. Now, the spaces I'm adding here doesn't affect the way it appears here on the browser. It will still appear very well on the browser. So, but I want to write an inline CSS. An inline CSS means I'll be writing it in the same line with this tag. That's what inline means. The class is ending by 6 p.m. Abi? Yes, it's a 3 hours class, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. Stanley, are you tired already? Now, this is what I will, for those who are actually, I know a lot of persons are still struggling. Do I continue with this class? Should I end it? I have issues with data. I don't have enough data. I don't have enough power, and so on and so forth. So this is what I'll say. I got the privilege of coding. Not really that it wasn't me. It wasn't me that got into coding. It was my friend from Nasarawa State. He got into coding, like a session like this, your own now. He got that opportunity to learn how to build mobile apps. Yeah, then the old way of building mobile apps with Java. So now he was posted to Gombe, the same place where I was posted to, Gombe State in the north. And I was in a different school. The school where I was coding, where I was teaching, is a big school, a boarding school. Cynthia, are you with us? Cynthia, we are currently working on the About page. This is the About HTML here. So that is why whatever we are doing is going to be on the About page. So anything we are working on is on the About page. That is why you are seeing the welcome CSS in the About page. Now you can use any other page you want. It's not compulsory that you must use the About page. You can use any page you want. They are all the same thing. So that is why you see the welcome CSS in the About page, Cynthia. All right, so let's continue. So an inline CSS in the same line. Let's assume I want to change the color of this tag. I'll say style. The first thing is style. Now, when I write style, notice that it brings out a list of different styles that I can apply to this tag. It will bring up different styles. All I did was just to write style. Sahid, I'm working. I really wish to complete the assignment you usually send. My workspace and home are far apart, so I don't usually get home early. Could you please consider allowing us working students to submit assignment by midnight on Saturday? Sahid, I would love to allow you submit on Saturday, but most times it is important that before the class on Saturday, I need to revisit what is in the assignment. That way, I would have gone through some assignment where I see people making mistakes, making error. I can then correct those mistakes on Saturday's class before I teach a new thing. Because the moment I don't correct that, which is what I didn't do in this class, I didn't correct whatever is in the assignment, I'm already moving on to CSS. So whatever mistakes they have made in the blog post at this point, it doesn't really matter again because we have moved on to something new. So it will be difficult to allow you to submit on Saturday. You have a long time. I don't know if you work, you don't go home. You can do your assignment from wherever you are. Now, if you go home late, you have Wednesdays, Thursdays, or Fridays, and Fridays is actually by night. And the assignments are not something that you have to, for now, they're very easy. They're very simple. 5 blog posts, it can be done at any time. So you don't really need too much time, Sahid. You don't need too much time. When I start giving you assignment that I need to shift the submission date, I will shift it. I know assignment that now we have not even entered the main job. When it comes to the part where you do now, if you can't do HTML with the time you have, is it when we start building logic, start building projects, that you will have that time? Because from what you are saying, you only have time on Saturday, which it will be difficult to complete whatever task is given after now. So for my story, I want to encourage those who are still contemplating whether to do backend, whether to do coding, or just jump out, or the whole task. Yeah, challenges will be there. The challenges will be there. So I was saying that I didn't really join coding program. I didn't get the opportunity to learn coding. It was my friend. His name is Ibrahim. Ibrahim got the scholarship to actually, just like the way you are learning it free now, he signed up and he started learning free like this. So we were both posted to do our NYC in Gombe State like that. So during NYC, nobody had to tell us that, you know what, in this NYC, you need to figure out what is next. You need to figure out what to do next. So I didn't know anything about coding at all. I had no idea of coding. But there, where I was serving in the north, I was posted to a boarding school. So in a boarding school, we have light, we have computer labs, we have a few things. Whereas Ibrahim doesn't have that where he's posted. So what Ibrahim did was to push me to learn. So he would then come to my school, use my influence to enter the lab, so that when the principal asked, he would tell the principal that we are learning computer, like we are learning coding. So because the principal sees me there, he will allow Ibrahim that way. So that was how Ibrahim was gaining access to light. Because where he stays, there's no light. Where I stay, there is light. And me, I'm not doing coding. So Ibrahim had to force me to learn coding. He kept forcing me to learn coding, not because he really wanted me to learn coding, because he wanted to do coding. So the first time we were doing coding as beginners, I kept telling Ibrahim, this thing is hard. I can't finish it. No, I can't do this. But because Ibrahim knows what he wanted, he will help me with my assignment. Now, I am not submitting the assignment to anybody. I'm not sending the assignment to anybody. because I am not even on the program. Ibrahim will study and give me the materials to learn. So whatever Ibrahim learned yesterday, I will learn it today. While we are together, Ibrahim will be in class learning. So whatever he finished learning for that day, he will give me to study tomorrow. That's what I will study tomorrow. So he was using that idea so that we can be in class. We finished the beginners. I told him it was difficult, but thank God we are finished. I have washed my hands off coding. I don't want to do it again. The next thing, Ibrahim came again that he has been admitted that the second phase, which is the intermediate, has come up. We should do it. I told Ibrahim, you see, this is beginners. If the beginner's own did not kill me, but see this intermediate one, looks like this intermediate coding will kill me because it's very, very hard. And the funny part is there in the north is very hot. I'm not used to the north, the heat and everything. So for me to feel a little bit cold, I will need to lie on the floor. So most of the times when I'm learning coding, I'm not on the bed, I'm on the floor learning coding because the weather is hot. I will need to be learning coding on the floor. So, but Ibrahim knew what he wanted. There is no other place to get light. He has to force me to do it. He cannot go and enter our computer labs without me. So I must go there with him. Whatever I'm doing, I will leave it for that period of time when he wants to learn. So we did it like that and we finished intermediate. And Ibrahim came back again that he wants to finish the advanced part. I told Ibrahim, you see, if the beginner and intermediate did not kill me, this advanced will definitely kill me. So I don't want to do it. So he then told me, okay, he begged and I begged me and said, okay, you know what? Just come to the lab and sit down. So I will come to the lab and sit down and be watching movies while Ibrahim is studying. Do you know that before our service finished, Ibrahim got an employment letter to move over to Germany? Like before my very own eyes, in my kuro eyes. I was with Ibrahim. He was asking me, what do I feel here? We were filling the form that would take him to Germany. Men and brethren, nobody told me. Like me and Ibrahim did that intermediate, advanced, beginners in a space of, was it 7 months or 6 months together? When Ibrahim got his employment letter, before my service was almost ending on the 10th month, before my service ended, I have taken up the whole coding again, back to back, and finished it. I dropped that one, move on with the web, finish the web without anybody supervising me, nobody forcing me, nobody pushing me. Why? Because before my very eyes, my friend traveled. Now, since then, I've not seen Ibrahim again. Once in a blue moon, he will send me a message on Facebook. We talk on Facebook, like once in a while. And now I'm not saying that if I wanted to travel now, I can. I had that opportunity to travel. I got that job for Dubai, but the expenses considered in Dubai was too much for the kind of pay they are willing to offer me. I got another one for Germany too, which my friend is also in Germany, but I didn't take it. And the reason is because I want to go when it is a little bit very, very comfortable. When it's not like too comfortable, but something I can adapt to easily. So why am I saying this? I'm saying that if you're having issue of light, issue of NEPA, issue of, oh, I'm tired, oh, I am weak, oh, those things are challenges that will still be there. We have experienced it. People will still experience it. A lot of persons will continue experiencing it. It is really not an excuse. What I told my lab students was, if you have issues with data, especially data, the first time you start learning is always difficult. The first time. But after the first week, the second week, the third week, that is where you will be tested. On the 4th and the 5th week, you will really be tested. At that point is where you need to tell yourself, this thing I am learning, is it worth it? Like the coding, these skills I'm taking, is it worth it? Some persons are going to drop off for different reasons. All right, Stanley, you're doing well. Now, some persons are going to drop off for different reasons. But for some persons, their reasons will be that it is not worth it. It is not worth it. For them, they will feel like it's not worth it. But this is what I'll tell you. You need to check your life in the next 3, 5 to 10 years from now. What do you want to be doing in the next 3, 5 to 10 years? If what you're doing currently is what you still want to be doing, then you can take the coding anyhow. I had a student, not one, not two. I think I had about 3 students when they were in Port Harcourt. We did this coding. We thought we'd teach everything together. But somehow they were able to travel to Canada for masters. They finished now. Before they could finish their masters, they are already asking me to arrange an online class with them. And I can't do that. Why you had the opportunity, you didn't learn it. At the point when you're asking me to do that, I would need to leave a lot of things to teach you. Like I would need to leave projects I'm working on, classes I'm taking to teach you. Now, I get a lot of students ask me to teach them classes, this, that, but I can't do that. Before I teach you, if I'm going to teach one person, it's going to be very, very, very expensive for one person to pay, because you need to be able to pay me enough money that I can leave whatever it is I'm working on to start using that time to. So for now, I haven't been able to teach those students, not because I don't want to teach them, but it will be difficult to just sit down and be teaching only one person. It's hard, and it's going to be very expensive to teach, especially the back end. It will be very expensive to teach one person the back end, especially. So, but they had the opportunity. Now, these people I'm telling you, I've actually gone there. I had a friend who was in Canada. He's not too good with coding. What he was doing was, he got the job. I'll be the one doing the jobs, and he'll be getting the jobs, and I'll be doing it just like that. Why I'm saying this is for those of you who might not know why you are here. Some persons are just, let me learn the skill. That's what they are. Let's just learn the skill. They are different. They are different. There's a difference between I want to learn the skill and I want to be a developer, like a techie. Even if I'm traveling, if I want to travel abroad, I want to stay in Nigeria, wherever I want to be a tech person. You bring the project, whether it's a mobile app, whether it's a website, whether it's a dashboard, I can sit down at the comfort of my home, write codes, and that software will be working. If you have issues with it, you will call me and I will work on it and it will start working. There's a difference when you have that kind of mindset with when you think, oh, let me learn the coding. It's a skill. Everybody knows that tech skill is good. Everybody knows that. We all know that tech skill is good. But how many persons can actually sit down, learn the tech skill, and after learning it are able to sit down on their own and code? I have students that work with me on different projects. Like I taught them how to code. Right now, I'm no longer teaching them. They are coding real life projects and we are working together, like as if we are colleagues. So that is why I'm able to work on different teams. Now, I'm not teaching you because of the money I'm going to be paid from it. Of course, I'm going to be paid money from it, but I like it in a way that when my network expands. Imagine if I have Stanley in Abuja, I have Nathaniel in Plateau State, I have Abdul Karim in Jos. I have these persons in different locations. Some of you might even get to travel abroad and you are working on different projects there. And some person like, you know what, I need to bring you David, please, David, come on, let's work on this project together. So that means my network is actually expanding, which is the reason why I'm actually telling you this story. That is the main thing I will gain out from it. When you can actually handle a project. Now, when you have an idea, if you have an idea on the project, it's not going to do me any good. If you have an idea of what backend is, it's not going to do me any good. But if somebody like Walter gets to know what backend is and is working on a backend project somewhere, I will be like, oh, you know what? I can't do this alone. I need somebody to assist me. He may look for me, or he may look for Nathaniel, or he may look for Stanley and say, let's work on this project together. That is where the benefit comes in. So, but to assist my student, this is what I do. If you are motivated to work as a developer and you are able to, you see a project anywhere, you see a project. I'm not saying you should, like, you see a project and you feel like, okay, this project is asking me to build this thing. Can I build this thing? Take the project, bring it here. In this, our live section, we are going to code it as a project together. Now, when you have issues with data, we'll bring out the money from the project, give you money for data, and keep the remaining money for ourselves. So that way, we have assisted you. You will no longer have data issue for the project. But if you can, this is what I will tell you. This is the second week of this project. If you can, put yourself on a budget. Budget your data for the next 3 months. Budget internet for the next 3 months. And give it everything for the next 3 months. Now, by the end of 3 months, you will not be the same person that actually came into coding. Now, I'm not saying you're going to jump immediately and enter Facebook, or Facebook will hire you immediately. No. Right now, some of you have no directions. You don't even if I ask you to apply for jobs, you don't even know what to write in the application. You don't even know where to go and find the jobs. So, but by 3 months, by the time you are done with the program in 3 months, you will have a clear idea what you are doing. Even without me, you'll be doing it. You'll be pursuing your gigs wherever you are. Now, I've worked with a lot of persons who I would consider as my bosses. Most of them we just talk on WhatsApp. We've not seen. A lot of persons I've worked with, I've never seen them before. We just talk on WhatsApp, and that's all. So, but because I have idea what career path I'm taking, where I am going, I don't need to see anybody. I don't need to do anything with anybody. I can do everything from the comfort of my house. If I need to go out, I go out, and that's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, put in your best. Like, put in your very best. I don't know the kind of jobs you're working on currently. If it's a good one, please keep it. But if you feel like you need an upgrade, now I had a friend. Now he wasn't my friend. He's a friend of a friend. He was working with an airline, and he told me that he wants to shift from working with an airline to coding. So I told him, for now, I can't teach only you, but there will be a class coming up soon. Register with them. I'll be there to teach it. So he registered and he switched. Now he has left working with the airline. He's now coding, and we work together on the project. He was my student. So, but I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. This is Nigeria, so we need to tell ourselves the truth. It's not going to be easy. But you need to be able to tell yourself the truth. 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, what do I want to be doing? If you say 10 years from now, I want to be a techie, a software developer, this is the time to learn it, not in next year, not next 2 years. Because the longer you wait to learn it, a lot of technologies are coming up, more people are coming, and they will leave you behind. That's just the truth. So you learn it now. That's all. So back to where we are. The story, I had to just cut it short. My brother, it nearly killed me because that was my first time being introduced to coding. The really funny part is I am a rational person. I don't want to just tell me A plus A is B. No. I want to see what makes A plus A equal to B. I want to see it. Now, you don't just come and tell me if I put this and put this together, it will turn to green. No. I want to do it and see that it's actually turning to green. That's the kind of person I am. So being introduced to something where I had nobody teaching me, I just had materials that my friend was giving to me. My brother, it almost killed me. It almost killed me, but it didn't kill us. We are here today and we are coding. And that's one thing that makes me teach coding very easy and simplified, because I learned it the hard way. So I can actually teach it in a very simplified way. That is why I can teach in a simplified way, because I learned it the hard way. So that being said, back to CSS. So if you are writing CSS, I said the CSS, we can write the inline CSS, the internal or the external. So the inline CSS is the kind of CSS you write in the same line. In the same line, that's the inline CSS. So this tag here, inside this tag here, I'll put space and write style. So the style is bringing up so many styles that I can pick from if I don't know what I am looking for. But if I know what I'm looking for, I can just type it. But right now, you can just go through it. You see different styles that you can apply to any tag at all. So, but what I want to do is to change the color to red. So since I know what I want to do, I will just write color. And this is color here. And I will type in red and save it. So doing that, you see that the tag has changed to red. The next style I might want to do is I might want to make it bigger, which is the font size. So I would say font size. I can make it bigger, like 50 px, that's in pixels. Save it. Is bigger but not too big. I can increase it to 150 pixels. Now it is very, very big. So you can apply inline CSS to any tag. So I can change this to green too if I want, and save it. Now it's in green. Can change it to, what is this color that I love again? There's crimson, there's coral, there are so many colors that you can pick from. So that's how you can change the color using inline CSS. But we're not going to be writing a lot of inline CSS. Inline CSS is used for quick CSS. That's if you want to write something fast, you just want to do one line and see something, see how it changes. Like the only thing you might want to do is maybe change the color to red or maybe change the color to green. So that's where you use inline CSS, a quick CSS. Or maybe you are doing a presentation with your team and you open up the presentation, you see that something is not looking fine. You can quickly use an inline CSS to hide it or change the color or anything. Just quickly use an inline CSS and do that. So that being said, I can leave that. I will move on to create another tag, HTML1. And what do I call this tag? I'll say welcome to Nigeria. I would say welcome. Well, let's keep it to welcome to Nigeria. So I have welcome to Nigeria. Now I don't want to use an inline CSS here. I will use the second one, which is called internal CSS. Internal CSS is the CSS that you write at the head of the HTML. Remember that the head of the HTML contains instructions for the browser. So you can also write an internal CSS at the head. So before the browser starts reading your codes, you can outline the styles. Tell it, please, this H1, color it red. This P tag, make it bold. This span tag, remove it from here and put it here. So you can put all of those instructions in the head of the HTML as your CSS. and then the browser will interpret it as instructions for the browser. So to do that, you just put a tag here called style. So this is the style. Whatever styles you want to add, what you want to do is that this H1, but I'll change this to H2 so that they will not contradict each other. So this is H2. Here I can say the H2 that I have there, this H2, change the color to blue and save that. The color is blue. Change the font size, increase the font size to 100 pixels. So the font size is big, 100 is too much, just reduce it to 70. So 70 is big. Now there are so many styles that you can add, so many. You pick any style you want. You can change the, what is it called? You can give it a background color and so let the background color be orange. So now it has a background color. But I'm not going to write too much internal CSS because we are professionals and we're not going to be writing internal CSS. We're going to be writing the third type of CSS, which is called the external CSS. The external CSS. Now, external CSS is a type of CSS where you need to create a new CSS file. So what I can do is say this is about us.css. So I have created a CSS file different from HTML. Now, you know that this is a CSS file because it ends with .css. And it has about us, meaning that this CSS is for this page. So if you want, you can create another CSS for contact us. You create another CSS for index the home page, like that. So, but since you are working on about us, that is why I created this about us CSS. So this CSS is for this about page, and it is called an external CSS because you need an external file to write it in. So, but that being said, do we have any question? This place is too quiet. It looks like nobody can hear me. Do you have any question? Any question on what we've done so far before I continue? Any question? Well, Cynthia, if the internal CSS is quite confusing, forget about it. You are not going to be writing internal CSS. If you know inline CSS and you know external CSS, you're good to go. Nobody says you must know the three of them. You pick only one. If you ask me, I will say pick only the external CSS and go with it. You don't need to know the three of them. It's not compulsory. For those who were in our last class, I told you that for everything that has to do with coding, from my experience, there are 3 different ways, like a minimum of 3 different ways of doing any particular thing. So when it comes to code, now it's not compulsory that you must know the 3 different ways. If you know only one way, that's enough for you. You go with it. So with that being said, I have created a new file and it's called about.us.css, and I have it here. It's empty. There's nothing inside. I will create a new H3 here, and I will call this external CSS file. That's what I'll call it. External CSS file, and save that. So, and it is showing up on my browser and it's too small. Yeah, it's too small. So what I want to do is to change the color. Now this external CSS is H3. So I need to call it by H3. Now, I'm going to explain that better later, but let me just do it so that you get to see and then I'll explain it. This is H1, this is H2. Now, if you look at the internal CSS, what I called here was H2 because I am referring to this H2. Now, this is H3. So what I'll be referring to here will be H3 because they are not the same thing. So H2 is what I used for the, now it doesn't mean that you can only use H2 for internal CSS. No, I just wanted to show you how that they are different. I wanted to do them differently so that you see the clear difference between all of them. So, but it doesn't mean that H2 is for internal CSS, H1 is for inline CSS, H3 is for external CSS. No, all of them can work in any of the CSS. So H3, I want to change the color to purple, and I want to increase the font size to maybe 90 pixels. So if I save this, I have saved it, and you look at it here, the browser doesn't know what to do. The file is still small and it is still black. The color has not changed. The question is why? This is H3. To confirm that, you look at it here, it is H3. And what I'm calling here is H3. So why is the H3 not responding like the mates? So this is what I will explain. A lot of newbies start to lose interest at this point, but let me explain it in a simple way. The browser is not interested in any other file. The browser is only interested in HTML file. Any other file is up to you. Your images is your own. Your CSS is your own. Your JavaScript is your own. The browser is not interested in any of those files. So when you build your website, exactly, Nathaniel, exactly. So when you build your website and you have a CSS file or any file, you have to link it to a HTML file. That is the only way that the browser will pay attention to that CSS file. If you do not link the CSS file to a HTML file, the browser will ignore all the CSS file and only pay attention to the HTML files. So I will remove this here and show you what I mean. Now the browser is going to read all my codes here, read all the CSS that are in here, but it will not go to this file and read it. So if I want the browser to read this CSS file, I have to link it with a link tag. Now this link tag is used to link style sheets. Of course, CSS is called cascading style sheet. So this style sheet this means CSS. Now this is the href, the location of where that CSS file is. So the CSS is the same folder, and then I will select CSS. So by doing this, I have linked this file to this file, meaning that, now notice that I linked it at the head of the browser. Sorry, at the head of the HTML. It has to be linked at the head of the HTML, either before the title or after the title, anyone. Either I put it before the title or I put it after the title, provided it is in the head of the HTML. What will happen is that when the browser starts reading this code from top to bottom, if it gets to line 9, it will stop at line 9, move over to this file, which is this CSS. It will read all the styles that are here and then come back and continue from line 10 and start reading down. When it sees any file that you referenced here, it will apply the styles to it. So that's what it does. Now, if I open my browser, you see that my CSS is now big. So that is why it is very, very important to link your external CSS. Otherwise, the browser will not pay attention to that CSS. And a lot of newbies miss it at this point. So if you are writing external CSS and you see that the CSS is not applying, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you have linked that file. Thank you. So that being said, we can move on to something else. Yes, the link for now is only for style sheet. Yes, the link is now only for style sheet. So there is something called selectors. There is something called selectors. So one of them is by tag, one of them is by class, another one is by ID. Selectors. So what is a selector? Yes, this is curly braces. This is curly braces. This symbol is curly braces. Yeah, the symbol is curly braces. So I want to explain the idea of selectors. Let's assume I remove everything here. I remove all these things and save it. Now my page is empty. I'm going to create H1 and I'll say welcome to CSS. And then I'll duplicate them into so many places. So I have them into 5. There are 5 of them. The first thing I want to do is to use the tag selectors. The tag selector here means the name of the tag. The name of the tags here are H1. So if I call them by H1, all of them will respond because all of them here are H1. So if I come here and say for all the H1, I want their color to be purple and I want their font size to be 50 pixels or maybe 70 pixels. So you see that including this one, which is the H1, is responding because this is H1 is responding. Now I can reduce the font size to say 50 pixels like this. So what if you build a website and all the pages is just purple, everywhere is purple? You know that they will not pay you. Nobody will pay you. As a matter of fact, they are going to design purple sack letter for you. They will design it with purple. Since you like purple, they'll design a purple sack letter. Now, what if I want this one to be purple? I want this one to be green. This one here should be green. And then this one to be yellow. And this one a different color altogether. So that is where the idea for class and ID comes in. Now, if you go by tag name and you call all of them by their tag name, all the tags with that name will respond. But you don't want all the tags with that name to respond. You want 1 or 2 to respond. So you use either class or you use ID. I'm going to explain what class and ID does. So the first thing is this. Let's say I want this first one to have a different color. So what I will do is that first one, I will give it a class name. So I will come here inside this angle bracket. Inside the angle bracket, I will write class. This class means I want to give that H1 a special name for it. A name that only that H1 has. No other name. No other one has that name. That's what class means. Now, you can give that name to all of them if you want, but I want to give it to only this H1. So I will call this H1, which person's name will I use? Wisdom. So I will put here Wisdom. Save it. So it means that if I go to my CSS and call Wisdom, only this H1 will respond because this is the only tag that has the class name Wisdom. So I will come here and then call Wisdom. Wisdom, I want your color to be green. And save it. Now, if I look at it, it's not responding to be green. The reason why it's not responding is because the browser does not understand this name, Wisdom. It doesn't know what this name is. So that is why it doesn't respond, it's not responding. So, but if I add dot and save it, now the browser knows that this dot means I'm referring to a class. So dot is used for class names. So that way the browser knows that, okay, this Wisdom is a class name. I will need to look for a tag that has a class name Wisdom. So that is what dot is for. If I come here and give this one class, and call it Michael and save it. Now, if I come here and call Michael, I want your color to be blue and save it. Now, you see that Michael is not responding because the browser does not understand what that name is. So in order for the browser to understand what the name is, I need to add dot and save it. Now Michael is responding. Michael is now blue. So that is the idea of class. First class. Now we can move on to the second one, the third one rather, which is what? The ID. ID. So I can come here and say, I want to give this one an ID name. An ID name. Which person's name will I use? Walter. So I will say, Walter is your name. Anytime I call Walter, I want you to respond. You. I want you to respond, Walter. So I will come here and call Walter and give Walter a color of what color? Blue violet, not violet, violet, and save it. Now you see that Walter is not responding because the browser does not understand what water is. I think water is violent. That is why we are giving water violent. So what we are going to do is to put a symbol here called hash. Now, hash is for ID, and that is how the browser will understand. Okay, you see, water is actually blue violet. I said it, water is blue violet. So that is how the browser will understand the color or what the name water. So when it sees hash, it knows that this water is an ID name, water. Now we can try it one more time. For this last one, or maybe this one, give it an ID name, and we can call it, what do I want to call it? Rema. I can say your name is Rema. Anytime I call you Rema, I want you to respond. So I'll go to my CSS and I'll call Rema, and I want your color to be, what color will I use? Dark orange. So if I save it, Rema is not responding because the browser does not understand what this name is. So you need to put a symbol hash to tell it that is an ID name. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how to use a tag name, a class name, and an ID name to assign CSS properties to any tag at all, any tag, whether it's a div tag, is a section tag, is a footer tag. It works for all tags. It's not because I'm using H1. You will then be asking me tomorrow, sir, is ID only for H1? I will not answer you. Or you come and ask me, sir, is CSS only for H1? I didn't see you put CSS in a section tag. I didn't see you put CSS in a footer tag. No, I'm only using H1 as example. It works for all tags. All right. Abby? Wisdom is joking. Don't mind wisdom. Wisdom is joking. So, that being said, I've done one thing. Now, what is the difference between tag, class, and the ID? For tag, if you call tag, you call H1, all the H1 will respond. All of them will respond. If I say here now, display none. Display none means I want them to disappear. I don't want them to display. You see that all the H1 have disappeared because all of them, they are all H1. So that's the difference by using tag name, or maybe say the disadvantage of using a tag name. All of them with the same tag will respond. So if I remove this, they'll be back. Now for class name, the class name is that for the differences with class and ID is that multiple tags can have the same class name. So since this one is called wisdom, I can come here and give this one again wisdom. So you see that the two of them are now wisdom, sharing the same properties. Wisdom. So for classes, 2, 3, or more tags can have the same class name. The same. But when it comes to ID, only one tag can have that class name. It means that in this about page, there will be no other tag that will be called water. It's only that tag that will be called water. No other tag. It's only this tag that will be called Rema. No other tag will be called Rema. So that's the difference between a tag and what is the one? Class and what is the other one? And ID. So what I want to do now is just do a small demo, just a very small demo. So I will add here a section. Inside this section, I'll put H1, and I'll say introduction. Outside this introduction, I'll put a paragraph tag and say Lorem 20. So Lorem 20, then I'll put a button here and say continue. So I want to just do something with small CSS so that we see where we're going to. Now, when it ID. So if you are one of those that will be asking, when should I use tag? When should I use class? When should I use the ID? This is what I will say. Always use class. Use classes. Except you want to use one name per ID for one tag. Sorry, let me put it well. I'm looking for a better way to put it. Except when you want that that tag to be the only tag with that name, then you use ID. Now, if you want to address multiple tags, then go with tag name. So that's just my suggestion, but you can use anyone you want. Nobody will stop you. Anyone you want. Now, it's not compulsory that you must use the three of them. Somebody can decide to stick to only class names. Some other person can decide to stick with only ID names. It's your choice, however you want it. So I will comment this one out and save. Now I have introduction. Where is introduction? Now, okay, I have introduction and it's coming from here where I have my H1. So I will remove this style for this H1 and keep it there. So I want to style them myself. So this section, I will give it a class name, call it container. Yeah, for that section. Now this H1, I'll give it a class name, call it title. Yes, and this P tag, I'll give it a class name, call it paragraph, or whatever you want to call it. And then my button, I'll give it a class name, call it BTN, and save it. So I have different class names. Now the first one is this section called container. I want to work with the container. So I want to do something with the container. So what I'll do is I'll put, let me just, I'll shape this a little to this way. I'll put dot container. Now the dot means is a class name. And I hope you know that already. That dot, the reason for the dot is because it's a class name. So I want to add a border around it. So I'll give it border. The width of the border, I want it to be 2 pixels. The style to be solid. I'm going to explain this border later. And the color green. So if I save it, I have a border here. A border. Now, if you look at it, these things are touching. I will explain what that thing means later. So let me just give padding. Padding top and bottom, left and right, 10 pixels top and bottom, 10 pixels. No, let me go with 15 pixels left and right. I will explain what this means in our next class. But if you know what it means, that's very good. So the container is done. I will come back to the title and call the title. The title, I want to change the color first. The color should be green. And I want the font weight. I want it to be bold. Font weight 600. I want it bold. I I want to increase the font size a little to like 45 pixels. It's not big. That's okay. I'll leave it there. The font family, I want to change the font family to something like Arial something. So it has changed. The next thing I want to work on is the paragraph. Here, copy the paragraph, Ctrl V. For the paragraph, I just want to increase the font size to something like 20 pixels. That's okay. I like the color black. I can change the color if I want. So just be like that. The next thing is the button. I want to work on the button. So the btn, I'll come here, dot btn. The btn, I want to make it bigger. So I'll give it padding. The top and bottom should have a padding of 5 pixels. The left and right should have a padding of 20 pixels. The padding is okay. I can increase the width and select the width be something like 100 pixels. 100 is too small. Let it be like 300 pixels. Yeah, the width is okay by me. I'll leave that width like that. The background, I want to remove the background color and make it transparent. No, let me not do it transparent. I'll give it a background color of green also. Background color green. And I will change the color of the text inside the button to be white. Yeah, the white is okay. I'll remove the black border and say border to be none. The border is gone. And here the 15, can I give it 10 pixels or top and bottom, 10 pixels top and bottom? Yeah, that's okay. For the button, I want the button, the edges to be a little curved. So I'll give border radius so that the button, the edges will be a little curved. Let's say go with 10 pixels. Yeah, it's a little curved. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where I want to draw the curtain. Do you have any question on what I have done so far? Any question on what we have done so far? Any question on what we have done so far? All right, Wisdom, go ahead. Where is Wisdom? Wisdom, you can use the mic. Go ahead. Tell us what is your question. Wisdom. We are struggling to hear you.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now better.
Okay, my question is on actually the div. If you, from the assignment that was given, notice that those div and then the pictures, they are all aligned vertically. What if you want to position them side by side?
Okay, I understand your question, but let your blood not be too hot. We are coming to that. But not in today's class, but we're coming to that. How to display items side by side. We're coming to that. So, Stanley, go ahead. Where is Stanley? Stanley. Where is Stanley? Yeah. Stanley, go ahead. Unmute yourself and go ahead. Now, Stephen, the tag is the name of the tag. So if you call H1, that's the tag. You are calling the tag name. If you call div, you are calling the tag name. If you call section, you are calling the tag name. So go ahead.
My question is that place, as you deleted the about us, contact us, and the read that name, sir.
I
As you
did not.
deleted,
They are still here.
but if you click on that home now, or that about us now, or that contact us, will it navigate?
Yes,
Okay, the
it has.
navigate.
I did not delete it. I just left it there. So we are working on the about page. That's where we are. So the form is on the home page. And then the contact page, we didn't do anything there.
Okay,
So
go to
yeah.
that code. Go to that code. I want to ask something there. Those last ones you taught us now. I want to ask
This
something.
one.
What is container?
And that is my name. You know, I used Wisdom, I used Stanley, I used the names that you know. These ones now, these are names that I want to use. Now, when it comes to giving CSS names, use a name that will actually tell the developer what you are doing. Now, if I use container here, you know that this thing is serving like as a container containing these items. So that's why I called it container. I cannot call it wisdom, because if I call it wisdom, another developer sees it, begin to wonder, what does wisdom mean in this code? So, but calling it container means that the section is serving as a container that has items inside it. So if you look at the about us, the container is this border here. So it's serving as a container. And then that's for my CSS name. So when you are giving a CSS name, you are free to choose any name at all, but put a name that is close to what it means, so that when someone is reading it, they could easily understand what it means. All right. Eze, what are you missing? This is the container. We just gave it a border and a padding. And what else again? You say you want to see for the button. The button has a padding. You know what? Can I share this file with you? Let me see if I can. In case you want to go to, now I'm going to be sharing my codes with you later. You too, you'll be sharing your codes with me also. So, but until then, I don't know if I share this file to you here, you're not going to see it. If I put this file here and send it, that's the CSS, and send the about. Now, this is not a professional way of sharing files. We are going to do it with GitHub and share codes better. So, but I'm just doing this now because I haven't taught you it. But I don't know if you can be able to have access to this. Abdul, there is no difference between section and a div. They are all containers. You can use the two of them as containers. But ideally, some people feel like section can be used to describe bigger containers, while div is used for smaller containers. So that's just from us different, but there's no really difference between the two of them. Yes, Wisdom, we can start the registration form, but we are close to the end of our class, which is by 6 p.m. So we can't style it now. But of course, you can style the form. We can style it later. So any question so far? Now, for those who have not dropped their attendance, you have just 2 minutes to drop your attendance before we wrap up the attendance. So if you have, and don't drop 2 times. So if you have dropped attendance before, don't drop again. Please, don't drop 2 times. Please, 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 please. All right. So in the absence of any question, can you drop a thumbs up so that we end today's class? In the absence of any question, can you drop a thumbs up so that we end today's class? All right. Thank you. See you tomorrow by 5 p.m. See you tomorrow by 5 p.m. Bye.